Hi, I just wanted to make a video because I was in a momentum of downward spiral thinking, and I realized that that's what was actually happening, because when anything is something that's changing or something that I want to grow or accomplish or be, there's always this like negative momentum that has started from when I was younger. And since I've been through this healing process and been meditating and doing all this awesome stuff like coaching and speaking and doing all this stuff, things have been turning. However, that natural default is still there. And it was actually quite scary. And the truth is, it's really because I kind of need to start putting more love out there. I need to start putting myself out there more and being seen more. And I also recognize that if I start feeling depressed, it's not because there's anything wrong with me. It's actually because I need to do more that's living in my gift, and that's going to make me feel really good. So that's part of me making this video. And so what I ended up doing was I just sat in silence I sat for about 2 hours and 15 minutes, but just doing an hour would have been fine. But it was going so well, and I was feeling so much better after the hour was going, because what ends up happening in the silence is, for me, is what doesn't really belong to me, which is all these old ideas and all these beliefs and the way that I used to be. This stuff gets taken away, and it's a spiritual thing. I don't know how it works. It's just sitting in silence. Somebody asked me the other day, who's the meditation teacher? There's no meditation teacher here. It's really just sitting in silence. And I think there may be some coaching might be necessary, or even watching some videos or some inspiration just to keep you going. But the healer is inside of you. That's what I know for myself, is the healer is inside of me. And just by sitting in the silence, I've already shifted. My energy is already better. I've already been thinking about, well, what can I do? I've already started to get into the solution rather than sitting in the problem and having the mind go over and over and over again of what's wrong. Because it doesn't really need so much to tell me what's wrong. What it needs more is what's right. And to understand I'm not in competition with anybody. And just so you know, you're not in competition with anybody. It's where were you? Where were you a year ago? Where were you a couple of years ago? Where were you 10 years ago? Where were you a month ago? As compared to where you were at that time, where are you today? And if it's not in a place that you want to be, maybe think about what it is that you need to do to get there. Maybe you need to invest in yourself. Maybe you need to start doing some healing work. Maybe sitting in silence would be something that would be helpful. Sitting in silence is a cleansing experience. It's a spiritually cleansing experience. It's not easy, at least when you're starting, it's not easy. And I think it's because our heads are just so crazy, going on and on about all this stuff that is really not even true. And the reason why I know it's not true is because it comes from the mind. And anything that is not good is not God. And that's it. I just know that I was feeling insecure. I was feeling very vulnerable. I was feeling that wonderful thought of nothing's ever going to get better, and it's already better. It's already better. So I don't have to keep on making it better and better. I need to sit down and to sit in some silence and just allow my Creator to work on me. Just allow whatever needs to be done. Whatever needs to be seen in my mind, it just needs to go. Like whatever thoughts are coming up just need to come up, so that way they could be released. And I was able to cry. It was so good. It was so good to release old emotions. We are not our thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You're not even your body. You're just living in your body. Like, you're just this amazing, beautiful spiritual energy. And if you're not feeling good, it's because you're not aligned with yourself. You're not aligned with where you need to be. Like, it's because you're not feeling good from something that your mind is telling you, or something that's externally going on, and it's about what you're telling yourself about what the situation is externally. So sitting in silence is so helpful, and it's so healing. And I know for myself, could be very passionate and overwhelming sometimes, or I could be concerned that I'd be overwhelming sometimes, because when I find something that works for me, I get really passionate about it. And it was a real shift for me because I was talking to somebody and I was thinking about what my next, topic should be when I want to go speak. And I definitely want to talk about this, of sitting in silence and how it works, and some techniques I use while I'm sitting there to reparent myself, to fall in love with the pain, so that way it ends up shifting and transforming itself into power. And even what just happened to me today, and you just got a little glimpse of it because I started to talk about it. And he said to me something that was funny, but it was so true. And he said, but maybe when you talk about it, just like not so intense, And so what I realized is that that's intensity, and that's also, I know that as myself, I could be intense and I can be passionate, and it also, I could have a lot of shame around the fact that I have those qualities, because sometimes it could be overbearing for other people. And that has been an old story of mine, because I was too much for my mom, right? There was some crazy stuff going on in my house, and I was complaining, and I was just so wired to just need more than she could give me. And it totally made sense when I was a child, and I absolutely did need more than what she was able to provide. I needed a lot more safety. I needed a lot more encouragement and love and less fear, but that was something that she wasn't able to provide. And so what ends up happening now sometimes is that when I talk about stuff, it could be more intense than other times. And what I realized is that I'm letting everybody off the hook. Like, it's totally okay. You don't have to sit in silence. Don't do anything that I'm saying to do. I'm only sharing my own experience. And I just realized that by doing that, I get to connect, because it's what I need to hear, and that's what I need to do. And maybe you have something that you need to do. Maybe if this is resonating for you, feel free. You're welcome to contact me, and we could talk about it. I offer a free coaching session, and if this is something that's interesting to you, awesome. If it's not interesting to you, it's also awesome. Maybe it's awesome. It's interesting for you just to listen to. But no matter what, your inner voice is calling. Your soul of who you are is calling on you. If you have anxiety, if you have some sort of depression, if you have all this stuff, I'm not a doctor. I'm not talking about necessarily some clinical stuff, although people have totally had miraculous healings around clinical depression and anxiety. I'm talking about not feeling good and living in this state of always not being good enough, or feeling shame, or feeling depressed, or feeling anxious. And I really believe it's because it's your inner, in my experience, it's because it's inside of you is not aligned. Your body, your feelings, your emotions are not aligned with how good your soul feels and how much it knows that it can accomplish. So you definitely don't have to try this, but if you wanted to give it a go, sitting in silence for an hour is such a magic number, it's such a magic time, and it's such a magic experience for you to be able to just sit there and be okay with being in your own skin, and knowing that you're not going to die if you're just sitting there, and every single thing that's going on is going to continue to go on. But you are entitled to peace. You are entitled to serenity. You are entitled to have your old stories lifted. You're entitled to have a new life and a good life. You've been recreated. Every single second, we're being recreated. If they talk about energy, and scientists I'm talking about, and how they could put a cells underneath microscopes, and it's just energy. We're just like a whole bunch of condensed energy. And that energy needs to be aligned. Who we are needs to be aligned for us to feel good. That's my experience. And such an amazing tool that I have used is sitting in silence. And I hope that's helpful for you. God bless.